Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to a very special episode of the No Free Game Podcast. I, as always, your humble, gracious host, King Solomon. To my right, after waiting 15 years, I have my co-host with me, the Big Juice Seller. Look at some class going for him.
Apologies. It was a van of orphans that flipped over, so, I had to hop out.
Funny enough, on my way here, a fucking little dog got loose on the street. Luckily, like us and 5 other cars stopped that little dog. Yeah, I almost had a bad day. Yeah, it was a little sad. I got a big affinity for dogs.
Me too. It's always the little ones.
Yeah, especially the little ones. Like the bigger ones, I'm like, all right, big nigga, you should get out the way. The little ones, like, I gotta go protect you. Make sure you all right. Damn. So today, as any episode is special, but today's a little bit more special.
Yes.
We usually get guests here, as you guys know. We've done a rapper. We've done we've done A&Rs.
Chefs.
We've done chefs. We've done a lot of different things.
Business moguls, right?
Business moguls.
Yes.
But we have a bona fide star here with us today. And before I let her introduce herself and talk, I want to tell a story that I don't even think she remembers. But I wanted to do this as the intro just to start us all off. So back in 8th grade, as most people know, when you're getting ready to go to a high school or something like that, or even going to college, there's usually like these chat groups or whatever to introduce yourself to new freshmen, incoming freshmen, and
like AIM and shit.
No, like I think at the time it was like Facebook or some shit like that. So now, mind you, the school I was going to, I knew a lot of people there. There are a lot of people from our neighborhood, but still, I was like, I was excited to meet people that I'd never met before, and see what's going on. So.
Great.
I go into this chat room and I start talking to a girl. I'm like, oh, cool. Nice to meet you, whatever. She tells me her name. She's from Atlanta, all these things. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I got like a new person to talk to going into school that like I never met before, whatever. 20 years later, this woman became a superstar.
Yes.
This woman moved to LA and became even bigger than any of us could have imagined.
Yes.
She is a choreographer, and we're gonna let her run down her other accolades. And she is also officially a bad girl.
Yes, that's exciting. I'm gonna talk about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's introduce Stephanie George.
Go.
Just get some claps going for Steph.
Let's go.
You guys are sweet, and I do remember that.
Do you remember that?
Oh my.
Yeah,
I do remember talking to people on that. It was on MySpace.
MySpace, there we go. I knew it was something. I knew it was something like that. Yeah.
I love MySpace. Yeah. I don't know what I vaguely remember things, in and out through the years, but I do remember it was MySpace, and I do remember seeing you like on the first day of school. I mean, I didn't know who was who because I lived in Elizabeth. And everybody around me lived in Roselle. So people knew each other already. Mm-hmm. And then me going into that new school, I was like, okay, let me make friends. But it's finally nice to see you again after 20 years.
20 fucking years.
Oh shit, it's really been 20 years?
Yo, and that's the weird part, we're getting old because people start, when you start hearing numbers, right? Yo, remember in high school 30 years ago? Whoa. What you mean? I feel like I just graduated yesterday. What you mean 20 fucking years ago? That is bug the fuck out. But Miss Stephanie, how are you? How's everything? How are you feeling? Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to connect you guys back and kind of just, touch base years later. I've been doing really, really good. I've been working. I've just been kind of balancing mom life and work life together and just kind of going for it. I had this vision when I was a kid that I was going to be this artist, and I guess it's happening. So I'm just going with it. I'm just working enough so when I get old, I can just move to another country and just start over.
That's always the fucking goal.
I love it.
That's always the fucking goal. So today we're gonna go down memory lane. We're gonna learn more about you. We're gonna have a good time. But before we start, for people who live in under a rock, for people who may just not know reality TV, for people who just may not know nothing from nothing, just give us a real quick summary of who you are, where you are now, and then we'll start going.
Okay, so my name is Stephanie George. I'm a TV personality, a movement artist, and a creative director. I started off on TV when I was 16. I was in high school. My first gig was the Tyra Banks show. I took a break, went to hair school, became a cosmetologist, did editorial hair and makeup for just like beauty stuff. I then took a break from that, did reality TV show for a couple of years. I did 3 seasons of that, and then I decided to just kind of go for it with the choreography. I've always been a dancer. I done Afro Punk with Tiana Major 9. I work with Tanisha Scott. I work with Latrice Gregory, who are amazing choreographers. They're like number one right now. And right now I work as a creative director. All of that basically had to tie into what my job is now. Being a creative director, basically, the set is like all of it comes together because of my vision. I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not had the jobs that I've had in the past. I've worked for a record label before, and I've also worked production. So I've had many jobs, but all of that ties into what I'm doing right now. When I do mostly movement stuff, it's mostly music videos, and most of it is indie. I love working with indie artists just because they are more open to accepting creative ideas and kind of just not having a whole team go through them or a label and things like that. So um, I'm just an overall artist. It just so happens that I live in Hollywood and I work in Hollywood. Um, I have the gift of being able to turn my hobbies into work. And it just so happens that I just keep on doing it over and over again.
You know,
that.
I just keep on doing it over and over.
First, let's get some clouds going for that. So,
100%.
you know what? You said something interesting. You said you're good at turning your hobbies into work, and I find that absolutely interesting because, you know, especially having a music studio and doing all of our own creative things, I always find it, especially for new artists or just new anybody who's trying to get into a creative space, it's extremely difficult to turn a hobby into work, right? Like everybody, for example, can say, hey, I like to write music. I like to do whatever.
Yes.
And then when they see the work and the time and those things that are actually needed to turn into a business and turning into making money from it, that's when it's like, oh shit. So
Yeah.
I want to start by asking you, like, what do you think? What do you think is just a natural gift of you being able to do that? Do you think it's more so just your experiences in the past? Like, how are you able to turn a hobby into making money?
Well, basically, not just a hobby. Obviously, I went to school. You know, I went to one of the best schools. I went to Aveda in Soho. I trained under like, the best of the best. All the people that I went to school with are, like doing hair and makeup for like the best of the best right now. I knew I didn't want to go into that, but I knew that I needed the solid foundation in order to know the color wheel, just know fashion, and how to kind of build mood boards and kind of create these whimsical ideas and all that. So I went to school, graduated. I graduated in 2012. Um, and, I had to assist people. You basically have to, it costs money to make money, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I knew
Yeah.
that was schooling to do. But I didn't necessarily like, it wasn't a specific dream job that I wanted, right? I wasn't like, somebody's going to hire me to do this. I knew that I was going to have to create it, right? There was going to have to be this avenue for me to do this. So I would say just really researching, assisting people who are like the greats and your mentors and having mentors and people guiding you and getting jobs in that field will really let you know if you are going to go through with that. If you want to do music and you want to be an artist or you want to own a record label, it's good for you to at least work or assist someone that has worked for a record label or is an A&R or the head of it or an executive producer to really know if that's something you want to go, because then you can really study the business of it and see if you really want to put the money and the time into it. Really takes about 10 years and TV. And I would say like music, it can be on and off with it because obviously you can have pop, but it really just takes 10 years to master the entertainment industry yourself. And I knew that I knew that there was these jobs out here because I was getting hired, but I was only the fraction of all of it, right? Because I was the talent. I knew I didn't just like being the talent because there was these creators and these people that were building these sets and building these shows and giving out these creative ideas that were being listened to. And I knew that I wanted to do that. So I knew, okay, I'm going to do beauty, but I don't want to just be in a salon. I don't want to just be doing editorial. I want to bring it on film. So I started doing TV. I lived on a set for 3 months. You know, I didn't just do all of that to be famous. I just knew that I needed to get that job in order to get another job. Every one job that you get in entertainment, you have to go in there and try to get 3 jobs out of it. Networking is, you cannot be antisocial. You can be antisocial in your personal life, but when it comes to entertainment or creative arts, the people that bring those entertainers to life and those sets, those movement coaches, all of that is like, you know, that's a job. And then frankly, I realized that those people make so much more money than, you know, the talent and things of that sort. And I knew that there was a lot of pressure with being talent, being in front of the camera all the time. I'll do it for fun only. I will not do it just for, you know, it's like whatever. But I knew that there's an expiration date on everything. Obviously, you can grow old and be an actress and do all of that. But there's also these pressures of just being a woman in Hollywood and all of that. And I knew that I wanted to bring my creativity to life and I wanted to be listened to when I spoke. I wanted to be on set and have that cool job that, you know, I used to wonder about.
Well, Steph, question though, because we've known you for a while, right? I don't mean to cut you off, but even just how you speak is very charismatic, you're personable, but it's a confidence. How you're able to convey like, yo, if you want it, X, Y, and Z, and you obviously can blueprint it, and you've obviously just had an idea, and you've been a go-getter, because we've known like 20 plus, whatever. Well, I'm 27, so I don't know. But right? So, but it's this confidence. So would you say that is a natural like thing, this ability? Because that's a superpower. No. Where do you get that from? Because you said, well, I didn't, you know, necessarily saw this dream job, but it's like nothing stopped you. You've got there. You can even say, I want to go to another country and start over.
Yeah.
Where do you get that from?
Yeah. I would say like I knew that I wasn't going to get where I wanted to go if I was still in the same space. And I'm someone who has the personality to want to see different things, right? I can't stay in the same place. It makes me depressed. And when I see things over and over again, I can't create because I just have the same things in my head. So
definitely
just getting that willpower and just knowing like, if I fail, so what? You know what I'm saying? Like in Hollywood, you get used to the rejection. Like I get no's every day. You know, I submit things every day. I get no's, but there's this one yes that will change your whole fucking life. You know, I left at 18. I left 2 weeks after I graduated high school. I said, you know what? Why not? Let's just do it. And I don't know if that's just something that's just in me or
that's wild.
I knew that there was a bigger picture, but I just said, okay, I'm going to take $1,000. I'm going to move to New Orleans. I went there for a year.
Right out of high school?
Out of high school. I didn't even know anybody. I had like this boyfriend that like now works for NASA, thank God. I went down there. I saw how people lived and like, you know, just like, it's a different culture, you know, and I realized, you know, obviously this is beautiful, but this is not the place for me. I have to keep on going out west. I have family from California. My mom's family's from here. So, you know, I used to come out here in the summers and I used to just be like, I actually have a picture of me at like 6 years old standing in the same exact place where I moved to like 10 years after, like, wow. 10 years.
That's crazy. What part of California was that? Where you moved?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
What part of California? You said the picture. What part when you moved back 10 years?
In Hollywood. Oh, in Hollywood. Oh, exactly shit. Where I live now. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it was, yeah, I went and I saw the Hollywood sign and I was like, oh my God, this is where I want to live. And I just so ended up living in the same street as a Hollywood sign, like years later. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just knew that I just wanted it to. I just wanted it to happen. And so where I was living in a house, but there was a lot of street stuff going around me that I just knew if I stayed for, either something bad was going to happen to alter my life, or to where I wouldn't be able to move. Or I was just going to go for it and just take that chance, because I never met a celebrity as a child before. I never met somebody who worked in Hollywood. I would just watch movies with my grandma and my cousin Martin, R.I.P. to Martin. He passed away. He got deported like to El Salvador a couple of years later, and just fell into a depression and never got to see me on television. But he was always like, you can do that. We used to watch the Osbournes, a reality TV show, and he used to say, no, you can go do that. But I didn't see people that looked like me. I didn't see, I'm a little alternative. I look a little different. So I never seen that until I got a little bit older. And it just so happened that it worked out for me. But honestly, when you have these little slivers in life, I always tell people this, you have these little slivers in life where you have to take that chance. If you don't take that chance, you will literally sit down and ask yourself, where would my life be if I took that chance?
Yes.
If I went to that one party and talked to that person, and we all know this, another person that just got the job for being there. So you have to understand that nobody just moves to LA and is just like, unless you have an infinite amount of money that you're like, yeah, let me live it up. There's people that literally move from like Arkansas to sleep in their friend's couch, because you have to be here sometimes in order to be hired.
They just want to be
They're
there.
not hiring out. They're not hiring and flying in time. Talent is flying in themselves now, so I was just here. I remember like sitting outside for like 4 hours to like do a casting that I never would get, and then I did get a casting, and then it worked out for me. There's these chances that you have to take, but it's never an easy thing. And like, if I would have known it would have taken me this long, I would have started doing my portfolio and been very laser focused on what I wanted to do. Obviously, I'm an artist and I trickle around, lots of different places. And honestly, I will say, if it's within my field and I can handle the job and I am qualified to do it, I will take it, which is why I have so many different jobs. But if I didn't believe in myself, I would be like, no, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to showcase my art. I would just have imposter syndrome and just stay where I was at. But I think it's just a confidence thing that you have to say,
that's fuck
it.
Fuck it.
Imposter syndrome. Shit.
We have different things. We have different. So I'm Stephanie at home, right? But when I'm out in the streets or I'm out doing something, like I just have my artist perspective. Like I handle business better like that. It's not someone that's different from me. It's just I just kind of switch it on and off. I'm more social. I'm able to freely speak my mind and my ideas because I'm confident. When I'm at home, I'm like, oh my God, am I doing this perfectly? I'm very, very like,
is it an alter ego? Syndrome. Is it that alter ego?
Yeah, 100%. And it's very easy to do that when you are in music or in television or in art, because we are able to be artists and express ourselves and really just dress the way we want. That's something that I really wanted to do when I was younger. I went to Catholic school my whole life, and I was in a freaking kilt for like 20 years. Like what?
Yeah, them brown and green ass uniforms.
I still have that kilt.
Yo, it went down to like
I still have that kilt.
The ankles.
And then the girls got tired of them shits looking weird, so they do a little roll up, but then they get mad at you, and then you gotta go to the principal and they tell you because you rolled your skirt up. Yo, goddamn, we went to Catholic school. That's bugged the fuck out.
In the 90s, early 2000s.
That's bugging. So
yeah, my whole life I never went to public school. So likewise. I was restricted. I was always in a uniform. So I never really was able to express myself the way I wanted to dress.
Yo, do you think that's why we're all so expressive? because we went to parochial schools and it was like a box that they
they
all of
love
us they
putting you
tried
in a
to put
box.
us in a box.
And if you didn't fit that box, you was in trouble.
Yeah,
like you were a problem child because you ain't fit this preppy. I'm like, motherfucker, you lucky I'm here. I'm trying to play ball.
Yeah, you gotta pay. Yeah, you gotta pay to be in a box. That's insane.
We paying you so you could yell at me because my fucking brown pants ain't good enough. What you mean, dog?
You're going to hell.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yo, so
100%.
we kind of talked about it here and there, but I really want to dive in, right? So, I mean, at least for, I'm sure Jew is the same way, but me and Jew, our first time seeing you and knowing, like, obviously from high school, and then you go on. And for me, I remember, I'm not really a reality TV guy, but I think somebody from school, someone was like, yo, y'all remember Stephanie? We're like, yeah, of course they do. Why? They're like, yo, she on Bad Girls Club. We're like, get the fuck out of here. And sure enough, there's Stephanie Joyce right on Bad Girls Club. So
what was it on? Oh, it was. I used to watch that shit.
It was on NBC Universal and Oxygen.
Oxygen, yes, that's what it was. Yep. So I just want to just go back. Obviously, this is many, many years ago, and we'll kind of touch where you are now from then. But if you could just take us back to like the beginning, right? Like, we were already discussing you going to LA, or first, you went to New Orleans, then you get to LA, and you're working to try to get to these things, and then I'm going to assume Bad Girls Club was like the big break for you.
So yes, I will never say no because it's a cult. It has a cult following, and I've just been let into so many rooms because of it. I will say this. So I've always had a personality where I like to be rebellious because, like we were just talking about, we were put in a box where everything was taught to us as being wrong, right?
Right.
So when I moved to New Orleans, I came back, I went to Aveda, graduated Aveda, lived in New York. I wasn't even living in LA at that time. I was living in New York City. I was in Manhattan. I was living in Harlem. I was working, still doing gigs like for hair and stuff like that. But like I said, I graduated school, and you already know what the type of pay is to go to school. You're paying student loans, and you're an assistant basically when you are getting out of cosmetology school and you want to go for this before you get signed by an agency, because at the end of the day, as an artist, your main goal is to sell your work or get signed. So I would work as a go-go dancer. I wasn't 21 yet, and I worked as a go-go dancer at like all these clubs. It was like all these like Greenhouse and all these like New York clubs. I would sneak all my friends in. We would
Greenhouse was scary.
I was a go-go dancer at those places. I'm like, I'm not gonna, get a fake ID and do all this. I'm just gonna work, and be in my underwear and just walk around. So I always been told like, oh yeah, you're crazy, you're so wild. But everyone just always had a really good time with me. I didn't know the premise of that show too much. I did see clips of, here and then, like going viral in high school and things like that. But I just knew that I didn't have that personality to fight just because I'm just a traumatized soul, like I just fighting each other and all of that. I just saw the bigger picture and I was like, you know what? I don't have SAG because we all know that in order to be an actor and actress and to actually book work, you either have to, have an agent or be, and both have SAG after. I didn't have SAG after and I wasn't acting or anything like that. I went through a really bad breakup and then I just so happened to be home and filling out the application and they called me the next day. So many different things happened that day to stop me from getting to where I needed to go, which is like, has always taught me like a lesson in just going for it, right? Keeping going. Things might come in your way in certain projects and things like that, but you got to keep going. When I got the audition, the next day I was like, should I go to this? Like, I'm bad, but I'm not like a menace, like I'm not like
yeah, and you talked about the clips. I remember seeing some of the clips, and like all you saw was girls fighting. So like all you saw was just like pure.
Yeah, I'm one of the only ones to get till the end and never be touched. Like I just never got touched. Nobody ever touched me, and like nobody. I've done another show after I did All Star Battle. Nobody ever. I never had any problems with anyone. I was just there for the fun. Now I guess I was ahead of my time because back then it was like, what is this girl doing on here? I did have a lot of people love me, but then I also had like, where's the fighting? Where's the fighting? So when I went to the audition, I was on 51st Street, and my ex was like, "Just go to the audition, Stephanie. You never know what might happen." And I wanted to sleep an extra hour. Um,
You were gonna sleep through the
I said,
audition?
I'm not gonna go. I was just like, I'm not gonna go. So then I said, fuck, let me just go. He just kept on nagging me. I don't know what he wanted to do. He probably wanted to get me out the house, but I was like, all right, let me just go. So I was on 51st and 8th Avenue. The audition was in the 20s. It was in Chelsea. I still remember the studio. I took a cab. My cab got pulled over, and I was already late for the audition. Cab gets pulled over. I'm in like the 40s. And I'm thinking, I only got an hour. There's traffic here. We were in traffic when we got pulled over. Even if I take a cab, there's no, even if I take the train, it's still going to be a problem.
Yeah, because you got to go through Midtown. Said, like you was up there.
So I was like, let me walk. I'm in heels. I'm in like heels, the makeup from the night before, and just like a pink shirt that I still have in there somewhere. And I walked like 20 blocks. Wow, I just was like, let me just go in there. And I don't know if it was my attitude of just being annoyed that just made everybody because there were girls in there like, oh, bitch, if you look at me, it's over. Like just off, right? Like the meanest of the meanest, like in there ready to hit somebody with a bottle, like good.
On the auditions? The auditions?
Yeah, I'm hood too, but this was like, it was just all
no home training hood. like you ain't.
There was a lot going on. There was a lot happening. There was all different types, of hood in there. To be honest, all different shapes, sizes, and colors and nationalities. It was not just one thing. Let's just say that. So, I go in there and I don't know. They sit us. It's so embarrassing actually too. They sit us in a circle. It's like 20 girls in a circle. There's hundreds of girls there. There's 20 girls in the circle, and there's a casting director, and she goes, okay, you first. Tell me about yourself. You got 30 seconds. And I go first. And then, watch somebody do this in front of me. I just say, you know what? My name is Stephanie. I'm a stripper. I dance at the go-go. I'm a go-go dancer too. And when I said stripper, it just grinded everybody's gears that I would call myself that.
Really?
So that reaction must have said, "Ooh, we like this." So I saw her write my name down after. After that, they're like, "Okay, cool. We'll call you later. See you later. Bye." And after that, she came up to me in front of everybody and was like, "Come back tomorrow." Wow. Now that whole process took a year.
A year from that day.
Yeah, when you see not daddies or anything like streaming stars, when you get on a major network like that and you are going for a reality show, they send you to psychiatric testing.
What?
They send you with this doctor who created this test called Dr. Hogan. It's like a psychology test, a psychological test about stress. And they give you the same questions like, do you like to start forest fires? Do you think like having sex, outside of marriage is risky, or do you agree on it? It wants to know how risky you are. It wants to know if you're traumatized. It wants to know if you have, if you could react on stress, which is what they want you to do on a control. Because it honestly is a human experiment, right? All of us have borderline personality disorder. All of us come from like a home with some type of domestic violence or some type of thing that makes it normal to live with someone that you want to strangle or, talk about or whatever it is in some type of negative light. So we go through that type of psychiatric testing. I'm talking about flying me to LA, putting us in motels to, not even nice, like just putting us in different places. So I was losing money because I was making money as a go-go dancer and dancing and doing all this stuff. And I knew that I was going to take a loss with my career, just doing hair and all of that, but it was going to also elevate me and put me in a different situation.
You saw the bigger picture
so that was the first thing that I told myself. I was like, I'm not going to be violent on television because I know what that's going to. Now I've seen what happens. Obviously, when you are violent on television, I'm not going to say, but I just knew that it was a chance that I had to take. They literally would call my friends. I had to send in videos of my life. They called my boss, my manager, to make sure that I really did get suspended for smacking somebody in the face. They want to make sure that you really are what you say you are. Now, I wasn't a violent person to where they were like, "Ooh, how many people did she beat up?" But my thing was more like I would get drunk and just be just all over the
That
place, a
alter
hot
ego
mess, and
came
they
out.
loved it. Yeah, the alter ego came out. I would be super Elizabeth, super hood, and you already know like how that goes when you're around like these fancy places. You want to fight, so it was always like it was always something. So they would come, after a year. I just remember me laying like in my apartment because I was living in Harlem at that time. I'm talking about my apartment was so small. I was paying $1,000. My room, I had two other roommates. My apartment was just so like my room was just so small. I remember just laying there. It was super hot, and I was like, God, if this is supposed to be meant for me, just give it to me. And I promise you, I'm not going to hurt anybody. If I'm going to hurt anybody, it might be myself, but I'm not going to hurt nobody else. I'll keep my promise to you. And I promise you, this is not what I will be in 5 years. And the next day, Megan called me and said, baby, you want a flight to Atlanta? Let's go. Get your stuff. You're going to be gone for 3 months if you make it till the end. Don't bring anything nice. Don't bring drugs. Don't bring none of that shit. You are going to go on there and you're going to be yourself and you're leaving tomorrow. So let's go. And I had to find somebody to my apartment. And, I couldn't work for 3 months. And I made $70 a day, no royalties. I was 21 years old. I just turned 21 in May. I just turned 21 in April. May, I started the process. And then it just took a while. So thankfully, my ex was a lawyer and he went over my paperwork, and it didn't say anything about streaming platforms. I just thought, oh, it's just going to be shown on cable one time only and maybe a rerun or so. Had we all known about streaming services, we wouldn't have done it.
Right.
It was $1 a day, no royalties. So I'm rerunning right now. I can watch myself on Hulu, Peacock, all that, Tubi, all of it right now, and I'm not getting paid $1. But I knew that was it takes money to make money. You got to spend money to make money. That was the loss that I put in there. That was the training that I had. Thankfully, it worked out for me. I didn't, I went on to do All Star Battle season 2 with Ray J, and then I did another show on TLC, Discovery Life, and another network. I forgot what Discovery Life, and then Discovery. It was a docuseries on my son and my dad. I mean, my son's dad and my son, and our family, and the people who, like, the main person that walked into my apartment because it was filmed in my house was a producer that was on Bad Girls Club. And the only reason I was put on that show was because I was nonviolent. And I was super nice.
And look at that. And look at the fucking look at the fucking vision. Look at the vision. So holy shit, what a story. That's amazing.
That's wow, bro.
So now obviously, so for those of you who don't know, you were on Bad Girls Club season 10. So that was I believe we discussed this 12 years ago, I believe this year, 11 to 12 years ago. So 11 years ago. Yeah. So just about 11 years. So looking back on it now, obviously you're a different person, you're a different phase of your life, etc. Looking back on it, like, is there, like, do you have any big takeaways of just the experience, seeing yourself then and seeing yourself now? Like, how is that experience for you? And is there anything that people who like don't know anything about reality TV or just the TV industry at all, and like how like is it all scripted? Is it really much more like, hey, here's an environment, like you guys just figure it out? Like, how is being on set and dealing in reality TV? Because especially now with like what's this shit? Love at First Sight and Love is Blind, and like now the boom in reality TV.
Those are really big. Right? Those are a lot of people, right? So usually you're going in there for a commonality and a goal towards the end. On Bad Girls Club, the goal is to walk out with all your teeth in your mouth. And,
that's the goal. I'm gonna ask, is it authentic though? Like you said, like I'm not gonna go in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's just a controlled environment. It's just like what, John said. It's a beautiful set. We have like one of the biggest houses in Atlanta. It's just, you can't leave the front. You can't leave the back, your mic on. And what happens when you have you tested your cast mentally. So you know that they have trauma, they react crazy according to stress. You have lights. I mean, the lights are rigged, right? So like the, the whole house is rigged. It has mics everywhere. You have a mic on you. You have fluorescent lighting everywhere, and it doesn't go off until everyone falls asleep. Um, you have security standing around. Uh, it's a cocktail for stress.
It is a social experiment.
For a network. For a network, it's great when you have stress. There's no end goal in it. It's like let the show create itself. And sometimes in the land of TV, things go missing or things come together mysteriously and things like that. Obviously, you can tip people off and tell them like, "Hey, that girl really doesn't like you," or whatever it is. Obviously, certain things like happen. I had a lovely experience. I had a great experience. I bonded more with the girls. Maybe that's what kept me safe, but I just was always like, oh, I love these cameras. I love living on. I wasn't disgusted by her, like, get this camera on my face. Like it was never like that for me. It was always just like, all right, cool. Like, well, how does this person on set go from miking me up, being an assistant, to now being an executive producer? I wasn't trying to get out there like, oh, I didn't even have Instagram or Twitter or anything like that when I got off. And I didn't get it until like the day before I was about to be on TV. I was so anti everything. So I was like, I just want to go on there. I already got my check. And now I want to go to the next project, or I want to work this so I can do that. So when I was on that show, I was already interning like record label stuff, like, just different things like that, because I knew that I wanted to work in TV. I wanted to have the experience of working with musical artists and things like that, because I know how much, artist development and all of that. I wanted to do that always. And I knew that I wanted to work on music videos and things like that. So I just saw the end goal of it, and I just wanted to have another opportunity to work on a set like that. And especially at a huge network, you see how much like money they spend on cameras and people and things like that. But I would say it's pretty authentic. I mean, at least my season was. Everyone was super nice. I just had a different goal. It was like an actual goal for me to be like, I'm going to work with that producer right there, and it's not going to be on anything Bad Girl related. It's just going to be on another project, in which it did happen. But I would just say like these like Love Island, things like that. When you see, like, I would say you could see how much more staged it is on game shows. Right. We went from like being able to day drink and sit out all day and have a problem with each other and fix it out and go on vacation and do all that, just living kind of like a Lux girl life. And then I went to a show after that called All Star Battle, where, Ray J was the host. There was 2 teams, and we had
I remember that.
I do remember that show. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. So it was a challenge show. And then we went from like not having, as much time to really, have things happen to this. It's 6 a.m. Get up. You're going to go to the ocean and do all these challenges and, all of that. So it was more scheduled based. So when you see shows and things like that, like, the elimination round and all the shocking, it is a little bit more scripted, because sometimes when you don't do a certain thing, they'll tell you, hey, do that again. Show that you're going to eliminate her so we can get the shot, or things like that. But I would say, as far as Bad Girls Club, it's so problematic already. You really didn't have too much time to stage things, because it was so off a whim. It was so raw. It was a blueprint of like all the other shows now. I mean, they're super violent, and I'm pretty sure everybody will start seeing the consequences in the next couple of years of what happens. Instagram and, social media, they love it. They love for you to make a mess of yourself or hurt people or hurt yourself. But people that write text don't be on people that might act up at work.
Right. No, of
course. Or that might not get along in a big group. You don't want to.
What advice would you give to a 22-year-old you? A 22-year-old girl who has her eyes set on the prize, doesn't know what's next. Like you said, like, yo, I'm gonna get to the end without beating a bitch, because that's the goal for that.
I would just say learn how to say no. Like, just learn how to say no. There's a lot of times where you're really nice and you say yes according to other people. It's just like, learn how to say no. No is a full sentence. Like, when I say no, it's no. I don't have to tell you why I say no, but before I used to be like, oh no, sure, I'll do this, or all right, cool, and agree to things, and it would just take up my time and not really align with what it is that I wanted in my life. So I would just tell my 22-year-old self, learn how to say no and just be focused, because at 22 for me, I just got off of that show. I was just getting lots of work experience, but I wasn't like, ooh, I'm a star. Like, I don't care about that stuff. I do not care about it. It's honestly like, if you think about it, you're on a major network, people can recognize you, right? And then off of that, if you're not getting royalties, you have to make a life for yourself.
Right.
And sometimes people don't have enough money for security or things like that. And then you see, you go into your apartment or your house and they're like, hey, there's that girl from Bad Girls Club. And, you realize like, oh shit, I have to elevate my life, to upkeep my life and get myself together. And I cannot live just anywhere. You cannot just live. There's public safety things. I don't really see it too much with myself, but my son's dad is a comedian. I can see it with him. And just like you pay the price of being on TV and people knowing you without having to know you, your kids, all of that, people just trying to be around or trying to be in your business and things like that. But it's a cost. It's a price to it. So I've always tried to keep a little level of like privacy in my personal life. Obviously they know me from TV, but that's not exactly who necessarily I am now. At 21, maybe that's exactly who I pretty much gave you exactly who I was. I'd wake up, I'd be walking around in my underwear. Like, it really just was me. So I don't have too many regrets on it. Obviously, like drinking and like being in the backyard and things like that. Those disgust me now, but it wasn't too bad to where it would own my life. So I would just tell people, like, really think about your future and just keep on going. Because when you want to get signed for whatever it is that you're mastering, whatever it is that your profession is, you want it to really reflect your work, and you just cannot have gaps in Hollywood. They want you to be current when they see your stuff. They want you to already have it going for yourself by the time you have your agent. So I would just tell myself.
So you mentioned it a couple times, and I've mentioned it on the show, being a new dad, and Big Jew over here being a dad himself. So being a mom, obviously going through everything that you went through and being on TV and et cetera, then you become a mom. So how is that for you? How was that, transition from only having to worry about yourself and whatever to now you have this human being that you're taking care of? So, how has it been for you? And do you have any advice for new parents like myself? Because this shit is nuts. I see it every day, and the crazy it gets like every day.
How many months is she now?
She's 4.5 months.
Okay.
She's amazing. I love her to death. She's Thank you. She's literally my twin. But like I said, every day is, she does something a little bit different. Like yesterday, she does this. And so for you, what was that experience like on top of dealing with your newfound fame and in Hollywood and all these things? Your baby father is a famous person as well. So like, how is it dealing with all those things while just trying to fucking make sure your kid's alive? Because that's
be a regular person,
right?
And then
to just being to being mom, because you're just mom.
Yes,
it's true. I would say my advice to new parents, like, I would say it's just like evolve with your child. Don't try to, like, if you like have any type of childhood trauma or like trying to raise your child like how your parents raised you is not going to work, because every child is completely different and you have to move according to, your values and all that, but to your child's personality. Like I said, I was raised in a really strict environment. My parents didn't really allow me to have too much freedom to be who I was. They didn't really nurture me being an artist. They wanted me to be a nurse, and
typical,
like, imagine
right? Typical.
Imagine me being a nurse. Like, I would know. So like,
well, that hospital would be lit. I know that much.
Niggas getting sick every day. Stephanie,
I have a splinter, Stephanie. Like, shit.
People. Yeah, so I would say you have to evolve with your child and just really come up with your own parenting method. You take it day by day, right? Because kids, like you said, they do things every day. There's no guideline for being a parent. There's no time like, even if you're 50 years old, you will never be prepared for this because it is a different time from when we grew up.
Right.
Right. So you just take accountability like, oh, what, she's 4 months now, right? You're getting to know each other. In 6 months, you'll have a completely different baby.
Right.
She's going to be displaying her own personality. And sometimes, certain people are very sensitive to, like I said, I was a really sensitive being in a really strict environment. I could have probably flourished way more had my parents been like, oh, you like art? Okay, cool. Than being like, no, we don't do that. You're going to, on the street, selling, paintings to people, that type of stuff. They just didn't, flourish it. And although I love my parents so much, it's just I knew that I didn't want my son to ever be scared to tell me what he wanted to do when he grew up, or be ever like scared to tell me anything. So I just always had like a very laid back, like I'm very open with my son about things. Obviously, like I still have that very like maternal vibe of where I'm strict in certain things, but my son knows that like if anything happens, my mommy has my back, and like my parents have my back. So
does he have your personality?
Yeah, he's like an artist. He also has his dad's personality. He's very funny. My son is also an actor. He did Project Dad when he was 11 months. So he has done shows, and he's also done his dad. Yeah, his dad has a Netflix special called It's a New Day where he talks about our parents.
I saw it. It was great.
Sorry, let me, you mentioned it. Let me just set the scene. For those of you who don't know, her baby father is Darnell Rawling. If you are, right, I said it right, Darnell Rawling, did I say his name correct?
Donnell,
excuse me.
Donnell,
Donnell, excuse me. So, and if you don't, the name doesn't ring a bell. Chappelle's show, many of his own personal specials, very, very, very funny. Extremely funny comedian. Actually,
one of the GOATs.
Funny enough, I think I just saw him do maybe Power 105 or Breakfast with Club. I think maybe something. I literally just saw him. I literally just saw him.
Yeah,
what the fuck do you mean? You like in person?
I'm like, yo,
you see this shit? He ain't called me.
No. I think it was like a TikTok clip or something like that. But yeah, just to set just so people who aren't aware, that's who she's referring to. So good to continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, my son has his personality. He's really funny, but he's really artistic like me. He's like, you can tell that he's my son. Obviously, he looks like me, but like very bohemian vibe. He's a skater boy. He loves rock music.
Not a boy.
He'd be looking at me like, you kind of hood. Like, I'm like, oh, what y'all doing? Y'all trying to go to the club? They're like, the club? What is that? Like, they're just like, they're so different, He's like
he's liberated. How old is he?
He's 9.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
Aiden
9.
and him around the same age.
He's 9 years old, and like I could see his personality now. So like it helps me also with parenting. I know that like back in the day, like certain people used to get spanked. Now you can't do that. I would never hit my son. Oh, like now at this point, I'm like, I like imagine having your kids be like, I'm scared, like.
Yo, just saying that. I remember one time my mom was beating my ass for something, and I think at this point, this would be like, your friends like, oh, well, you can tell Dafis or you can whatever. So I think I told her like, I will call the cops, and she's like, all right, go ahead. And she's like, they're gonna take your ass away from here. Yeah, I was like, I'm like, fuck, I thought that was gonna work.
Yo, nigga, I was in Toronto on some family shit, walking across the street. I was like probably 11. 12, and with my mother and shit, she would stop, you know me.
Yeah, not stopping,
because she in front of me, nigga. She turned around and back. I don't even know how she did it because I thought it was.
We don't play with the street.
And then the cop was standing right there, and I looked at him like,
he said,
I ain't see nothing. He's like, just keep going. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, but it's
would never.
Yeah, it would never. But that's just so right. We were just raised in such a different time where like, those things were not only common, it was like, that's proper parenting.
That's how it happens.
Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It was like, hey, if you don't do it this way, then what are you doing? Whereas now it's like a whole, like, even if you see like a parent like yank their kid, they're like, whoa, hey, chill out there, lady. And it's like, holy shit. Like, it's just a wild change.
You have to like, now thing about it is that there's so many different ways to communicate with your child, and obviously we know, like, look at all these people that are running around right now in the same era as us. A lot of them look like they act like they were never spanked, or
they
all that
weren't.
stuff, or all that type of stuff. But the thing is that with millennial parents, our kids are mostly Generation Alpha, right? So that generation right there,
I think so.
yeah, that's their generation. Well, if your son is I don't know about you, John, but I know that.
Yeah, he's going to be 9 next month.
So y'all is Generation Alpha.
So Generation Alpha by far surpasses us in so many ways. I would feel like millennial parents, we will do whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that the kids have what they want. And like, it's not even about what you need, because we come from we'll give you everything that you need. We surpass it.
Yeah.
Like, not only is your son just doing karate, he's going to the best karate.
Right. It went from needs are now like the bare minimum. Now it's like your needs are perfect. Now it's what are your wants? And like, whereas you're right, we're many of us came from a generation where our needs were the top level, right? Like, our parents are doing enough to make sure we had all of our needs. And now it's like, no. You have your needs. Now is what are your wants? So what do you like? You're right. It's even like just thinking about it now for my daughter and just things, thinking about what I want her to do or what I want to put her in and things like that. Just like you said, like, I just want to let her figure it out. Cause I remember, as you and all of us, like, I remember trying to figure it out. And my parents wanted me to do this or be this way. And it's like, well, I don't know what that means. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to be this because that's not me.
I think we're raising our children. What I'm realizing, because I'm winging this shit. And I tell my son too, I'm like, bro, this shit is on, like, it's not expert. This is very much beginner. If you have a sibling somewhere down the line, they'll be a little better off, because I'm winging this shit. Because I think what it is we're learning, or we're trying to pretty much raise our children how we would have liked to be raised. Like you said, like the karate.
With no trauma.
Yes.
I would love for you to traumatize yourself after 18, but before that, don't put that on me now. Like, do whatever after, I don't want him to have that trauma of like, oh, I hate my mom because she didn't let me be an artist. I don't want.
Like, I want you to cry because you lost in a video game. Like, I want you to cry because the block fell over.
Like, oh, Mom, can we get such and such? We got it at home. Or, yo, Mom, I want to go to karate. We got karate at home. No, the fuck we don't. Like, why can't I just, right? Like, is that shit, is that? And I think, like,
dream about it, or like do it when you get older. I feel like a lot of like in that generation, it's like, oh, okay, well, when you get older, you can do it yourself. But like, I feel like now, I feel like, oh, she likes ballet. Let's put her in ballet. Or like, just like different. There's so many reasons.
Just try it. Oh, she looked interested. Give it a shot. We'll see what happens. Like, will she be there forever?
Like, your son's 9. You're calling him an artist already. That's a huge perspective for him now to see that belief. And obviously, both his parents are artists in their own fields, right? So for him now, like, what that does to a child's confidence. Like, I call my son a genius. All this, like, then he asks, and he be like, but why? I'm like, yo, because you you a genius. And I fucking know how to answer that. I'm like, I'm not a genius. So I got to play it off. But like, when you do that and it instills. Yes. So you're like, he's an artist. Eventually, if not already, probably already, that's what he knows he is. So where that's going to take him is going to supersede anything that us as parents can see for our kids. But we just know we believe in them and don't want that trauma, like we said, like.
And I think, and you said the word belief, right? And that seems like the constant between us three here is just instilling belief and confidence. Because I think that's one thing that, and it's not to knock parenting back in the day, because it was just life was just very different. Society was very different, right? So like now, and you see it in sports and just business and TV, anything, like literally anything, how far confidence can take you and how far believing in yourself and just your whole life story to where you are, right? That unwavering belief. And even when I'm dealing in my own life or, talking to artists here, whatever the case is, I always tell people, your confidence level in yourself has to be it has to be like crazy. Like you have to believe yourself in a way that people will think you are like unstable.
Delusional.
Like you like.
It's childlike. It's a childlike thing, right? So like it helped me like as an artist, obviously we have a very childlike spirit, but like, you know how kids really say like, this is what I am, and they truly believe it. There has to be
Right.
a certain level of being delusional to go for
Right.
your dreams, especially if like you're, like
Yeah.
I said, creating your dream job. Sometimes your dream job, there's just nothing. No one has created it yet. You have to do it, and you have to learn the business of it so you can get paid. Um, but there's a certain level of belief that you have to have in your art and yourself and being able to execute it in order to have everyone else believe in it. Everyone
Right.
has been delusional. Michael Jackson probably was like, I'm going to be one of the greatest entertainers of all time. Probably somebody was like, whatever,
Right.
but he did it, so you have to know, like, it's not like anymore. Like when I grow up, this is what I want to be. Like, this is just what I am.
I
In
love that.
5 years, like when you say, like, how do I get into it? I want to be an actress. Like you have that want, but you have to do it. You have to get paid. What is your pay? What do you, what does it say on paper that you are? What do you believe that you are? Can you make who you believe that you are happen on paper? And if you do, you're good. Nobody can tell you absolutely anything, but you have to have that level of delusion in order to have your confidence to do something to surpass the feeling of failing. That's it.
Let me get some.
Have to deal
That was goddamn. This is motherfucking
gem.
inspiration. I'm about to run through a wall.
Right?
So listen, before we go, Steph, first off, again, can't express how thankful I am for you coming on. So I just want to give you
Thank
some
you.
time here towards the end to talk about what you have coming up and just what you are working on in the future. If it's anything that people can kind of check out, look into, just what is next for Stephanie.
So basically right now I at least want to choreograph like 3 more pieces, which would either be a tour, a live performance, and a music video. I just got entered into the Latin Recording Academy yesterday. So
Congratulations. Get some fucking claps going there. Congratulations.
That's what's up.
So there's nothing, I'm just super qualified to work with artists. It just says that I have experience in the music industry, and I
break
know
dance.
where to play.
If you need a break dance.
Shut the fuck up.
I am also working on a piece that I've been working since last year called Yamaya. It's a short film about movement. It's just like a lot of like a very art-based like short film. Now it's taken a year to literally do. I have a 10-person crew. We've been shooting it like over and over again. That's going to probably be finished by next year. Honestly, these things take so much money and so much time and so much expertise that like all the movies that you watch now are probably taking years to make.
Yeah.
It's a very like love. It's about, just a lot of what I've went through as a child, just like it always has to do with water. I specialize in a certain type of dance called eclectic flow, which is like very like, it's just like very wavy and kind of like trippy and weird. A lot of people don't understand it, but
Is it
it's spiritual
based? Is it spiritual based? Like it seems.
I would say it's spiritual based and just like kind of from a lot of the mixture of the cultures that I grew up in Elizabeth. Obviously, like a lot of it is Afro Latino based, like a lot of the drums and the salsa. But like when you see the aesthetic, I have this other like this character in there that has a gangsta girl aesthetic, which obviously is like my background from living in Elizabeth, running the streets, kind of like living that life for a little bit, and just bringing that aesthetic and that vibe into Hollywood because they have a lot of these creative, just like film festivals where like I see things and I'm like, they just don't have the aesthetic that I'm used to. I'm used to like different mixtures of like just vibes. It's very colorful where we come from. Like there's a lot of different cultures and music and stuff like that. So I just kind of always wanted to put that in one film. So that's what I've been filming. I also have a cooking show that we're shopping around called Grab a Plate. That's being shot by Chris and he's my cinematographer. He's amazing. And just like, still working around Hollywood. Like I still have to train artists. I still am working in film. take it as I
You're
go.
in your element. That's what I see. It's a glow about you.
Like, I have
I can
so many
see this
different
shit in
jobs.
your face. Yeah, I can see it. Like you like, I'm basically like, I'm fucking doing it. But you can't, but that's, I can see it.
I can't catch up, because it's like you have different, you just like when you're an artist and you get paid, you work from project to project. So it's not really like my own project, Yamaya, that I was telling you about. It's more easy to talk about. Well, when it comes to other people's projects, like, okay, I'm teaching them how to, crawl on the floor for their music video and things like that. But I really just want to like work with one specific artist instead of working with different indie ones. I really just want to dedicate like at least a season to one. And a Latin artist, I'm looking for a Latin artist right now, or someone that either sings in like Spanish or Portuguese to create more stuff with, so I can, just have that under my belt now that I have the Recording Academy behind me. But I just really want to bring I love helping musical artists. Let me just explain what I do before we get off real quick.
Yeah.
Me as a movement artist, a lot of people are like, what is that? What is that? Are you a choreographer? Are you this? I am a choreographer, right? But I don't want to just sit there and be like, okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not my style. I worked with animation before. So when you watch a cartoon or something like that, if somebody's moving around, best believe that there's a human behind that they use to get those movements. 2, teaching an artist where to stand on stage when they have pyro, just to make sure that you don't blast your head off, things like that. Or an artist that has not done any choreography in the past, or is very shy, or is very minimal choreography, and how they place on camera when they walk on set. These sets are filled with 15 people. Sometimes it's very hard for an artist to perform in front of that, and sometimes you have to get the shot. So that's what my specialty is basically helping you be your best self and bringing that on camera with my knowledge of the music industry and working in film. I am someone who gets paid to think and to pay attention to detail. And that's just it.
That's, God damn it. More fucking claps, Steph. God
That's a lot of
damn it.
humble brags.
God
That's dope.
damn it. Listen, before we go, please, you mentioned it already. If there is a Latin artist out there who is looking for this, you exactly as you described, what's the best way people can get in contact with you, your socials, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so basically my social, my Instagram is Steph Shea George. That's my biggest one. I have TikTok too, but I really love, I'm a millennial. True millennials love Instagram. I'm just like obsessed with it. I have my contact information on there, and then I have my info at Saint by St. George, which is my website. It's also connected to there. So yeah, that's the best way to get in contact with me right now. I'm not gonna, have like book management or anything like that, but I just really Instagram is the best bet for me. That works, and I just look like whatever type of artist. The main thing to work with me would be like consistency. I just need a consistent artist that is like always creating and always producing their own, just producing music. I need you to put music out there. I don't need you to send me something that happened 8 months ago. I want to work out with an artist that literally records every week. As an artist, I feel like you have to. That is a must. You have to keep on putting music out there. You cannot wait to get discovered. You cannot just wait for the labels to come. Labels are dismantling right now. It's all about indie and putting your own music instead of, like I said, I love working with indie artists because I can have access to them. If, label artists, I have to get through my label, my manager, my assistant, all of this. There's so many different things to go through to get in touch with that artist. So I feel like right now the best thing, like if there is a Latin artist or anything like that, or Portuguese based too, it has to really be 51% or more to be submitted or voted on for the Latin, the Recording Academy. But you have to be qualified. Make sure you have ASCAP, BMI, things of that sort. You cannot just go into studios and not find split sheets and create songs with people that you don't even have their Instagram handle or things like that. Sometimes people want to just get in there and record, that it surpasses the thought of the business of this all. And I just would like to work with someone that understands that this is a business, because that's what it is. So,
Oh man.
yeah, that's all I have to say.
No, thank you. One more time, man. Let's get some claps for Stephanie George.
This was
What
dope. This was dope.
amazing.
This was dope.
Oh my God.
I
Hey man.
appreciate you guys.
No, Steph, we appreciate you. Hold on. You stay there. Hey man.
No free game.